This is Boston, a city of revolution, of innovation, of immense wealth. But beneath the billion-dollar skyscrapers and historic cobblestones, a devastating truth bleeds into its streets: homelessness. In a city overflowing with money, how can so many be left to rot? On Street Truths, we're uncovering the uncomfortable reality of Boston bleeds money, lets its people rot. This isn't just about statistics, it's about the very soul of a city. For years, headlines have touted Boston's booming economy, its thriving tech scene, and its world-renowned universities. Billions of dollars flow through this city, investments pour in, and the cost of living skyrockets, making it one of the most expensive places to reside in the United States. Yet, amidst this opulent display of wealth, a stark and brutal reality unfolds on its very streets: an escalating crisis of homelessness. In this documentary, we will pull back the curtain on this unsettling truth. We'll explore how a city so rich can allow so many of its own to suffer in abject poverty, exposed to the elements, and stripped of their basic human dignity. This isn't just about statistics, it's about lives. It's about the stories of resilience, despair, and the quiet struggle for survival that plays out daily in the shadow of historical landmarks and towering corporate buildings. Join us as we delve into the heart of this complex issue, seeking answers, understanding, and perhaps a path forward. This isn't just a story about Boston. It's a microcosm of a larger societal challenge, one that demands our attention, our empathy, and ultimately, our action. The tale of two Bostons, wealth versus want. Boston, the very name conjures images of intellectual prowess, revolutionary spirit, and a vibrant cultural tapestry. It's home to Harvard and MIT, to Fenway Park and the Freedom Trail. It's a city that attracts the brightest minds and the boldest entrepreneurs. Real estate here is among the priciest in the nation, with luxury condominiums selling for millions and rental prices pushing even the most comfortable salaries to their limits. The city's coffers are overflowing, fueled by innovation, tourism, and a thriving biomedical industry. But step away from the bustling tourist traps and the gleaming glass facades, and you'll encounter another Boston. A Boston where the sidewalks become bedrooms, where doorways serve as shelters, and where the daily quest for food and warmth consumes every waking moment. This is the Boston where individuals, often unseen and unheard, are caught in a relentless struggle for survival. How can such a stark contrast exist within the same city limits? How can a place that prides itself on its progressive values and its commitment to social justice allow so many of its citizens to fall through the cracks, left to face the harsh realities of life on the streets? This isn't a simple question with a simple answer. It's a tangled web of economic forces, social policies, and systemic failures that have created a fertile ground for this crisis to deepen. We're going to unravel that web, piece by piece. The economic avalanche, how Boston's success fuels its problem. The economic success of Boston, ironically, is a significant contributor to its homelessness crisis. The city's robust job market, particularly in high-paying sectors like tech and biotech, has driven up demand for housing, far outstripping supply. This imbalance has led to an unprecedented surge in housing costs. We're talking about rents that can easily consume 60–70% of a modest income, making it nearly impossible for low-wage earners or even middle-income families to secure stable housing. Think about it. If you're working a minimum wage job or even a few of them, how do you compete in a rental market where a studio apartment can cost upwards of $2,000 a month? The math simply doesn't add up. This isn't just about people losing their jobs, it's about people with jobs being unable to afford a roof over their heads. They're what we call the working homeless, a tragic testament to the economic pressures at play. Furthermore, the gentrification of traditionally affordable neighborhoods has displaced long-term residents, forcing them out of communities they've called home for generations. Developers, eager to capitalize on the city's growth, transform old buildings into luxury condos, pushing out the very people who once formed the backbone of these neighborhoods. The ripple effect is devastating, as the most vulnerable are pushed further and further to the margins, often with nowhere left to go. This economic avalanche creates a precarious situation for many. A single medical emergency, a lost job, or even a minor car repair can be the tipping point that sends someone spiraling into homelessness. It's a harsh reminder that, in a city overflowing with wealth, the safety net for its most vulnerable citizens is becoming increasingly threadbare. The human cost, stories from the streets. Beyond the statistics and economic analyses, there are the human stories. These are the individuals who wake up each day facing an uphill battle, battling not only the elements, but also the pervasive stigma that often accompanies homelessness. Their stories are diverse, yet they share common threads of resilience, struggle, and often a profound sense of loss. We've spent time on the streets of Boston, listening to these voices. We've met John, a former construction worker who lost his job due to an injury and quickly found himself unable to pay rent. He now spends his days trying to find workarounds, anything to avoid the shelters. We've spoken with Maria, a young woman who fled an abusive home and found herself with no family, no resources, and nowhere to turn. She battles anxiety and fear daily, just trying to stay safe. And then there's Robert, a veteran who served his country but returned to a system that failed to provide him with adequate support for his PTSD, leading him to the streets. These aren't just names. They are lives. Lives filled with dreams, with pasts, and with a desperate hope for a better future. They face an array of challenges that most of us can barely fathom: finding a safe place to sleep, securing a meal, accessing basic hygiene facilities, and dealing with the constant threat of violence or exploitation. The emotional toll is immense, leading to mental health issues, substance abuse, and a feeling of profound isolation. What's clear from these conversations is that homelessness is not a choice. It's often the culmination of a series of unfortunate circumstances, systemic failures, and a lack of accessible support systems. These individuals are not defined by their current situation. They are defined by their strength in the face of adversity, their quiet determination, and their unwavering humanity. A glimmer of hope, efforts, and shortcomings. It would be unfair to say that Boston is doing nothing to address this crisis. There are dedicated individuals and organizations working tirelessly on the front lines, offering solace, support, and a glimmer of hope. Outreach workers brave the cold nights, connecting with individuals on the streets, offering blankets, food, and information about available resources. Shelters, though often overcrowded, provide a temporary refuge from the harsh realities of street life. Community kitchens offer warm meals, and health clinics provide much-needed medical care. However, these efforts, while commendable, are often overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the problem. Shelters are at capacity, often turning people away. The wait list for affordable housing is astronomically long, spanning years if not decades, and the complex needs of individuals experiencing homelessness, from mental health issues to addiction, require a far more comprehensive and integrated approach than currently exists. One of the biggest challenges lies in the lack of affordable housing. While there are initiatives to build more, the pace is excruciatingly slow, and the demand continues to far outstrip supply. Furthermore, there's a significant gap in services for those with co-occurring mental health and substance abuse issues, making it incredibly difficult for them to stabilize their lives and transition off the streets. The system, despite the best intentions of many, often feels fragmented and underfunded. The truth is, while many are working to mend the rips in Boston's social fabric, the holes are still too big, and too many are still falling through. The path forward. What can be done? So what is the path forward for Boston? How can a city so wealthy truly live up to its progressive ideals and address this deeply entrenched crisis? The solutions are multifaceted and require a coordinated effort from government, private organizations, and the community at large. Firstly, drastically increasing the supply of truly affordable housing is paramount. This isn't just about building more. It's about implementing policies that incentivize developers to create units that are accessible to low- and middle-income earners. This could include inclusionary zoning, where a certain percentage of new developments must be affordable units, or stronger rent control measures to prevent unchecked rent hikes. Secondly, a more integrated and robust support system is crucial. This means expanding access to mental health services, addiction treatment programs, and job training initiatives. It's about recognizing that homelessness is often a symptom of deeper issues and providing the holistic support necessary for individuals to regain stability. Housing first models, which prioritize getting people into stable housing immediately and then providing supportive services, have shown remarkable success in other cities and should be championed more vigorously in Boston. Thirdly, preventative measures are essential. This includes strengthening eviction prevention programs, providing emergency rental assistance, and ensuring that individuals have access to legal aid when facing housing instability. Catching people before they fall into homelessness is not only more humane but also more cost-effective in the long run. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, there needs to be a fundamental shift in perception. We, as a society, need to recognize that homelessness is not a personal failure, but a societal one. It requires empathy, understanding, and a collective commitment to ensuring that every single person has the basic human right to shelter and dignity. As we conclude this journey through the shadowed corners of Boston, the message is clear. The city's economic prowess is undeniable, but its moral compass is being tested by the growing crisis of homelessness. The wealth that flows through its veins should not just accumulate in the hands of a few, but should be leveraged to uplift all its citizens, especially the most vulnerable. Boston bleeds money, lets its people rot, is not just a sensational title, it's a stark reflection of a painful truth. It's an urgent call to action, a plea for us to look beyond the glittering facades and acknowledge the human suffering that exists within. The stories we've shared, the challenges we've uncovered, and the solutions we've explored are not just for Boston. They resonate with cities across the globe, urging us all to confront the uncomfortable realities of inequality and to demand better from our leaders and from ourselves. What kind of society do we want to be? One that allows its people to rot in the shadows while money bleeds from its core, or one that uses its resources to foster a truly inclusive and compassionate community? The choice, ultimately, is ours. Thank you for joining us on this critical exploration on street truths. If this documentary has moved you, if it has opened your eyes to a reality you hadn't fully grasped, please share it. The more we talk about these issues, the more we demand change, the closer we get to a future where no one is left behind. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay empathetic, and keep seeking the truth.